Hello, I'm Dr. Annandale. I teach philosophy at Mount St. Mary's University in Emmitsburg, Maryland. This video is an introduction to Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics, Book 1, Chapter 1. In this work, Aristotle gives his theories about ethics, about how we should behave, how we should live our lives. So this provides an interesting contrast to Plato's theories about the same subject that were given in Republic. Aristotle's writing style is very different from Plato's, however. The chapters in this book are very short but very dense. So my advice to you, before reading it, is first, read each part several times, going over it again and again to try to figure out the meaning of each sentence. If possible, do this with the help of a teacher or reading guide. Aristotle is very difficult to read entirely on your own. Circle all the argument indicator words that you find, words like since, as, because, therefore, it follows that. Aristotle uses these a lot, and these show you important hinge points in the text. They show you where Aristotle has drawn an inference from evidence he has already presented. Look before and after each of the words you circle to try to spot Aristotle's premises and conclusions for each inference. Book 1, Chapter 1 is only 2 paragraphs long, but there is a lot packed into them. So let's take them one at a time. In the first paragraph, Aristotle begins by observing that every skill, inquiry, action, or rational choice aims at some good. And more generally, we call goals goods. Good is a general term that we will use to describe the goal or end of any activity or skill. Thus, the activity of making wagons aims at the good of wagons. The activity of playing the piano aims at the good of playing well. And the activity of baking a cake aims at the good of a finished cake. Now, goods come in different kinds, Aristotle says. Some goods are activities, and some goods are activities plus a product. And where there is both an activity and a product involved in the good, the product, he says, is better than the activity. So to illustrate this point, a cake is better than the act of cake baking, and strong muscles are better than the exercise that makes you strong. In fact, I do the exercise in order to get the final product, the strength. My first reading question for you then is, think up another example that supports or disproves this claim. Think up an activity that produces an end product and ask whether the product is not the superior good to the activity. In the second paragraph, Aristotle tells us that if we look at the way human beings live their lives, we discover that there are many different skills out there, many different activities aiming at many different kinds of goods. And there is a hierarchy of skills that we find in people's practice, where some skills serve others, the way bridle making serves horsemanship, and horsemanship serves military science. If we find a hierarchy of skills, he says, we know that the goods of the higher skill are better, Aristotle says more worthy of choice, than the goods of the lower skills. Thus, victory in war, which is the good of military science, is better than skillful riding, which is the good of horsemanship, and that in turn is better than a well-made bridle, which is the goal or good or end product of bridle making. This is so, Aristotle says, since these latter ends are pursued for the sake of the former. That is, well-made bridles are pursued for the sake of skillful riding, and skillful riding is pursued for the sake of victory in war. Or consider another example. Here is a hierarchy of skills and activities. The activity of taking a class in programming serves the higher activity of writing good code, and writing good code serves the higher activity of increasing my company's profitability. Now consider the relation between the respective goods of these activities. Is the first good, passing the programming class, sought for the sake of the second good, which is well-written code? And is the good of well-written code done for the sake of a more profitable company? If Aristotle is right, then our answers to both questions ought to be yes. So my second reading question for you today, think up another example of 3 related activities or skills. Are the goods of the lower skills sought for the sake of the goods of the higher skills? This brings us to the end of Chapter 1. I look forward to discussing it with you soon. Thanks for watching today. Goodbye.